This is Rick Pitino's second season as Iona's head coach. And Rick Pitino, I mean, his track record is just unbelievable. Every team that he goes to, it seems like he changes the culture. When he was hired in 2020, what was your reaction?
That was one of the most surreal times that I can ever remember. So this was within a couple of days of everything shutting down with the pandemic. I think the NBA canceled or postponed its season on Wednesday night. I think that the other professional leagues suspended their seasons on Thursday. So basically, the entire sports world came to a halt. Friday afternoon, the current head coach at the time at Iona, Tim Cluse, announced that he was going to resign. He had been at Iona for about 10 years, missed the entire 1920 season due to an illness. And he had an incredible track record every single year that he was there. Just about Iona won either the regular season championship or the tournament championship. Iona had won 4 straight MAC tournament championships and he was the gold standard in the MAC. But then he missed the entire season, and everyone kept hoping and willing that he would come back and be back healthy and everything. But then as the season finished up and he didn't make his return, it was okay. This is not a good sign that something's going on where he was not able to coach at least one game during the season. So he steps away on Friday. Saturday afternoon, I get a notification on my phone. Leading candidates for Iona, Rick Pitino tops the list. And I thought to myself, okay, that seems like a clickbait headline. There's no way Pitino's coming to Iona, this small little Division I school, a half-hour train ride outside of New York City. Pitino has coached in the NBA, coached Kentucky, coached Louisville, won 2 national championships. Iona's, while it has been the gold standard in the MAC and has made the NCAA tournament several times, and it was usually a 13, 14, 15 seed in the tournament. I'll hang tough with one of the top teams, but doesn't win a tournament game. This guy's going to Final Fours just about every year. I mean, there's no chance at that. Maybe an hour or two later, the news breaks, Pitino's the new coach. And I thought to myself, wait, what just happened? Wait, we got Pitino? And I remember that since there was nothing else going on in the sports world, that was the number one headline on ESPN.com. Pitino back in college basketball, coming to Iona. And I mean, that was the number one headline for several days. The next big headline that basically knocked it off was Tom Brady moving from the Patriots to the Buccaneers. When you're the big headline that gets bumped off by that, like that is just unbelievable that here Iona basically owned the sports world for a couple of days because of the Pitino hire. So that just kind of was a surreal moment. And then it's been even equally surreal ever since then, with last year with no fans in the stands. So only, a dozen or two people who were working at the games were able to be in the gym for Pitino's first year. Fortunately, I was one of the lucky ones that was able to be at those games and work those games. But still, just a crazy feeling of, okay, here Iona got this Hall of Fame coach, and yet can't sell tickets, can't have the fans in the stands because of a pandemic. It was just such a weird time. So now it's finally great to be able to see of Pitino on the sidelines and the fans in the stands, and somewhat of a like, okay, now as Gael fans, we can all enjoy having this legendary coach on the sideline. So it's been a very weird time, but kind of starting to see some opportunity where we can, enjoy this a little bit of having Rick Pitino as our head coach.
And I hope you guys continue to enjoy it more because Iona is 8-2 this season. How far do you think they can go this season?
So Iona was picked as the unanimous preseason favorite in the MAC this year, coming off of their tournament championship back in March. And I think that this year's team is better than that year's team that went, I believe, 6-3 in the conference because they had a 51-day COVID pause right in the middle of conference play. So they were only able to play a handful of games last year, but Pitino brought in several big-time transfers that have contributed big minutes so far this year and are the focal points of the Iona attack. And Iona knocked off number 10 Alabama, second time in program history that Iona beat a top 10 team. The other one was back in the 80s when the Gaels knocked off Louisville, and that was when Louisville went on to win the national championship that year. So I think the sky is the limit for this Iona team. The Gaels have shown improvements from the beginning, from their first game back right almost a month ago to now, up to this point, 2-0 in the MAC, and a dominant win this past Friday against Rider. So I think that this Iona team can play with just about anyone in the conference, or I think that this team is better than anyone in the conference, and I think that they could play with basically just about anyone in the country. I mean, we saw just the last few days, the Alabama team that Iona beat 2 weeks later goes out and beats Gonzaga. So, we know Gonzaga was in the national championship game last year, was the preseason number 1 team, and was in the top 5 when Alabama just knocked them off the other night. So, given that, I think Iona can at least compete with just about anyone in the country, and I think that another NCAA tournament berth, another MAC championship is certainly in the realm of possibility for this Gaels team.